Hey man, it's me, Kevin Smith, Silent Bob, and all those terrible Jay and Silent Bob type pictures, man. You're listening to Drop the Mic, the only podcast that I listen to that I'm not a part of. Every podcast I listen to, I usually talk on it, but not fucking Drop the Mic. That's where I'm like, let me hear what the boys have to say. And now, we drop the mic.
No,
I did not give you, my daughter, permission to come over here because it matters to me what you're learning and who you're learning it from.
Okay, I told her that she could come over and swim whenever
Oh,
she
so
wanted
what I
to.
say doesn't matter?
That's not what I meant, Abel.
No. I understand where you're coming from. I need to be fresh and liberal and open to what other people think and do. Is that right, Lisa?
That's right.
Okay. All right, then. Well, let's all get crazy. Let's just get down then, huh?
What are you doing?
Forget the rules, huh? There are no rules.
Abel.
We make them up as we go along. That right, Lisa? I am right, aren't I?
Make your point, Abel.
Whatever we want to do, that's all right?
Enough.
How you say it, baby girl?
Make your
It's
point.
ill. This is sick.
Okay,
Yo,
Dad.
let's keep it gangsta.
All right.
Holla. What? It's okay for you to parade around in your underwear, but not me, huh? You know what that is? It's hypocrisy. It's a double standard. There's no room in this world for that anymore. Didn't you teach her that, Lisa? I mean, you did teach her everything you know, right?
She knows a shitload more than you do.
I beg your pardon?
Stop messing with my life. Telling me what to do, what to say, what to wear. You don't know anything about me, who I am, or what I think. You're just an old man with a badge on and his pants off.
Welcome back to our humble San Diego podcast. We're your hosts for the evening, Wesley Swanson and James Warny, and together we are the Drop the Mic podcast. This is episode 307. Welcome to Lakeview, where we will be going back to the year 2008 for a review of the Lakeview Terrace film. But before we get more into the movie, let's get everybody warmed up. How are you, man?
I'm doing good. Are you?
Pretty good.
And now for a special news report. Brought to you by Drop the Mic.
What do you got for us on the news side?
Yeah, just a couple pieces here. It looks like they're going to start filming for the Batman 2 this November. So that's going to be starting pretty soon. So hopefully within a couple of months here, probably around November when they start filming, we'll get some cool shots of behind the scenes stuff and whatnot, and maybe some concept art before that. So I'm excited to see what their plans are for villains and whatnot for the new movie. And along with that news, the Penguin series that's coming out on HBO Max, that's going to take place. That's kind of going to be a filler for in between Batman 1 and 2, or the Batman 1 and 2. And Robert Pattinson is going to be making a couple of cameos throughout the series. So he'll still be tied into that as well. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I was wondering if he was going to make an appearance or not. Taron Egerton, he is, I guess, most notably from the Kingsman series. He actually talked about teasing the third one and hopefully saying that hopefully it might go into production in the near future. No words on if the sequel or the third film in the series has been greenlit at all. But if he's talking about it, I would assume that he either knows that it's on its way to being greenlit, or he's trying to build up some momentum for that. Hopefully they get going with the I think it's is it Fox? I want to say it's Fox that used to do it. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of that series or those movies. So hopefully that'd be cool to get another one out of them before he kind of grows out of the franchise. But yeah, are you a fan of the Kingsman series?
Yes. I don't think I've seen the most current one, but I like the first two.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know the last one that came out was kind of like a prequel, kind of like how the Kingsman got started.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually saw it on. I think at one point it was on Showtime, either the Showtime or Stars. But yeah, it was pretty good. And then moving on to my last bit of news, it looks like the early test screenings for the Aquaman: The Lost Kingdom, which is the second one for Jason Momoa, It's being described as boring and not very good at all. So this might be a reason why we were hearing rumors of him becoming a new EU character. I think the big one was Lobo. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that character or you're familiar with him, but he definitely fits the part of Lobo more than he does Aquaman. But we may be this may be the last Aquaman that we get from the DCU. So the last thing is I guess the Jeff Loveness. He's the writer for the upcoming Avengers Kang Dynasty film. It's going to be, I think it's a couple years away from now, but he actually teased that a couple of big deaths are going to be in that film. Big characters or big name characters that probably actors who are done with their contract and kind of want a way out of the MCU. But he stated that this will kind of quench the bloodthirsty fans that are seeking that kind of deaths, I guess, from characters that have stuck around too long. But that's it for my news.
All right. I've got 3 pieces for you real quick, and we'll breeze through them. First up, the unlikely box office hit Megan is hitting digital and physical soon, and it will be including an unrated cut of the flick, which is a welcome surprise for genre fans who felt the theatrical was lacking with its kills. Thoughts on this real quick?
Yeah, so I haven't seen I haven't seen it yet, but I know it's the theatrical release was PG-13.
Yeah, the theatrical release is PG-13.
Okay, so that'd be cool to see it kind of uncut. So you probably get the version that was meant to be seen, in instead of the one that was probably watered down because of the rating. I'd definitely be willing to see that or purchase it or rent it if it's. You said it's coming out on for the hard copy version.
Yeah, it'll be unrated hard copy, and then I think there will be the unrated cut on Peacock as well.
Oh, cool. All right. That's cool. I have Peacock, so I can probably check that out as well. Yeah, I was, I wouldn't say super interested in this movie, but it looks interesting. Anything to do with like creepy things, like I've heard some things about the movie. I know it's, I'm pretty sure like no kids were killed, but it's like, I know someone gets like their ear cut off or something, or some little kid does, or something like that. But yeah, I'm down to check it out. It looks pretty good. I know it's an interesting take, and they're doing a second one, so that's pretty cool. Yeah.
I'm really interested to see if the uncut version makes the film any better. I did watch Megan. I thought it was good. It's kind of like satire, kind of campy stuff. So,
do you think that would build the like kind of hype for it if it for this unrated version? Yeah,
I think because when you watch the theatrical cut, you can kind of tell that there's a lot of like splices and stuff here with certain things that. So I'm happy that they actually did shoot more. And so there was this like alternative cut for horror fans, because Right away when I found out the rating, I was like, oh, it's going to be like whatever, like the other 30 PG-13 movies that are put out for money.
Right.
But this one is definitely, it's a little bit better than your average kind of stock horror film, I guess.
Okay, cool.
Moving on to some even more bonkers news, Elizabeth Banks' newest film. That's right, yes, Elizabeth Banks directed the new film Cocaine Bear, which hits theaters this weekend.
Yeah.
I'm hearing that it's very heavy, like heavy 80s slasher vibes, but with a giant bear on the loose.
Yeah. I like the theme, but like the way it feels. Like you said, the very heavily 80s themed movie. I dig it, man. It looks like a fun movie, and was this the last one that Ray Liotta shot?
I believe, yeah. He passed away while doing this one.
Okay, so yeah, I'm stoked for it. It'd be cool to see him in his last film. Yeah, what a crazy concept. I know it's based on a true story, but it's extremely exaggerated.
Of course.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I'm super stoked for this. It looks like it's just a crazy bonkers movie. In all honesty, I think everybody needs to watch.
I know, just the fact that it's called Cocaine Bear.
Right, right.
No fucks given whatsoever with that. Into more Blumhouse news, and to round out our news bit for this week, Blumhouse has announced it will be entering the world of video games, and their goal will be to bring the spirit of their horror-based films into a new medium. Excited about this?
Yeah, that's cool. I don't get a chance to play too many horror games. I know most of the better ones are on PlayStation.
That's
like
right.
The Last of Us, and I'm an Xbox guy, so my horror games terrify me because it's like you have to keep going through the scary shit to progress in the game.
Yeah,
but you're like frozen in fear to go where you have to go. But you're like, oh, cool, I have to go down this super dark hallway where I know something's gonna happen.
It kind of makes you not want to fire up the game. You know,
right. Like it almost becomes like a chore to kind of play the game where you're like, oh, I don't want to do this. I'm going to turn all the lights on and leave the door. I'm going to play it during the day with the blinds open and everything. I remember playing the Resident Evil games when I'd go to spend night at my friend's house in high school, and they loved the Resident Evil games. And him and his older brother would play them all the time. And they're like, you want to play? I'm like, fuck no, I'm not playing this game. I'm just going to watch you guys play because this is terrifying. And we'd be playing it at like 2 o'clock in the morning. So I was already scared, like out of my mind.
And now it's time for the weekly recommendations.
So the only real new thing that I've seen this past week or last week was Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumanium, whatever it's called. I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. I know it's, like I said last week, it's the lowest rated Rotten Tomatoes. Well, almost the lowest. I think it's tied with Eternals.
Yeah. Yes.
But it does have a better audience score than Eternals. But I enjoyed it. I don't think it's as bad as people, or as bad as Rotten Tomatoes says it is. But yeah, that's why you have to go see movies for yourself and not just rely on Rotten Tomatoes, which is kind of, I feel like sometimes biased anyways, or pretentious people.
Yep.
Kind of just reviewing things to destroy people's careers or whatever. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was fun. It's a good start for the new phase that's coming out. It's an introductory film for the new phase that's being started. So I enjoyed it. Paul Rudd is amazing whenever he's on screen. So if you're a fan of him, definitely check the movie out. If you liked any of the other Ant-Mans, check it out. I think it's a good movie.
Is this like a precursor to the King's Dynasty?
Yes. So this is basically like the setup or the introduction to, or going deeper into the who Kang is and where he's from and everything, and they're kind of breaking down the multiversal stuff even further. And then I know we get a little peek at Kang in the Loki series, and that was only for like 1 or 2 episodes. But this one, you get him in the whole movie. So, and it's a different version of the Kang, so there's that's even better. So he's pretty ruthless, and he yeah. I don't want to spoil anything, so just check out the film if you haven't, if you're interested, if you're a Marvel fan. Yeah, I liked it. I enjoyed it. So I think you would like it, Wes.
Okay, for sure. I have just one for you this week, and it's from HBO Max. It's the original Silence of the Lambs.
Ooh.
Which I hadn't seen in a lot of years. I think I forgot a lot of aspects of the film, but it's a really good fucking solid thriller. Jodie Foster, Anthony Hopkins, of course, as the insane Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah.
Oh, and then
that's a good one.
We can't forget our old buddy Ted Levine as Buffalo Bill.
Would you fuck me?
I'd fuck me.
I'd fuck me. So good.
Oh, man.
Every time I hear that song, it's either I think of that and I think
Or Jay.
of Jay. Yeah. Oh my god, iconic. Both iconic. Fully.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And now for the movie focus of the week.
All right, so we're talking about Lakeview Terrace. This week it's PG-13. It's from 2008. It's a thriller drama. Runs at 1 hour and 50 minutes, and it's got a disappointing 44 on Rotten.
Yeah.
Written by David Laffery and Howard Corder. Directed by Neil LaBute. Starring Samuel L. Jackson, Kerry Washington, Patrick Wilson, Regine Nehe, and Jashawn Fisher. The film follows a newly married couple who moves into their dream California home, but much to the couple's dismay, they find out their neighbor is an unhinged conservative LAPD officer who doesn't much care for them or their relationship. The film was actually shot in Walnut and Hawthorne, California, and was loosely based upon true events that took place in Altadena, California in 2001 and also involved an interracial couple, the Hamiltons, and an African-American police officer, Iris Henry, I believe the gentleman's name was. The board found Henry guilty of 4 counts and not guilty of 6 counts. Henry was found guilty of the following counts. Count 1, between June 1st and 2003 on April 10th, 2005. While off-duty on numerous occasions, inappropriately engaged in behavior meant to harass and intimidate or otherwise disturb the peace of the Hamilton family. Count 6, between June 1st, 2003 and April 10th, 2005. While off-duty, engaged in behavior that brought discredit to the department. Count 7, between January 1st, 2001 and May 4th, 2005, while on duty, inappropriately accessed the department computer system for non-duty related activities. Count 10, between March 24th, 2005 and May 4th, 2005, while on duty, made misleading statements to Sergeant M. Blackstone and Detective H. Martin, who were conducting an official investigation. Henry was ultimately fired from his job for his lack of integrity regarding his trial. So, overall, Lakeview Terrace, going back to the film, packs a lot into what would otherwise be a pretty normal-seeming thriller, but the genius here is the swaps against type for the film's core characters. You can't help but feel horrified as you watch Sam Jackson's able character step further and further out of pocket. It's important to note that the film does show you Abel's unfiltered arrogance towards others because he's been on the force for over 20 years. Jackson is unapologetic in his performance, and you feel that every step of the way. Patrick Wilson does a great job at growing increasingly more agitated. With his new marriage falling apart, wildfires, and deranged neighbor, it's hard not to feel for the guy. Kerry Washington is also hugely watchable as her character struggles to stay afloat and maintain who she is despite the ever-growing circumstances. Lakeview Terrace seems to be examining police corruption and racism under the same microscope. Let me ask you this. Does it live up to its full potential? 3 out of 5. Jay Hernandez cameos. Thank you.
Nice. Yeah, we get a young Jay Hernandez.
I know, right? So random.
Like fresh. Yeah, I forgot he was in this.
It's like, what? Didn't you get killed in Hostel 2, my man? You know?
Right.
So, let me open the floor to you. Why? Obviously, I know we've had a running theme this month, Black History Month, but what made you want to talk about Lakeview Terrace? I know you've wrecked it a few times throughout the years. What possessed you for us to do kind of like a main focus on this movie specifically?
Yeah, I thought just the whole surrounding theme of it, kind of, you have, you would think, living next door to a police officer, you would be safe, and they kind of twist that and manipulate that into a horrible situation. And, the police are supposed to be someone you can go to for safety or for protection, and then you're kind of at least they're kind of screwed with the fact that the person who's harassing them, they can't go to the police because he kind of has if ever someone was the police were called and they came to check up, they would have a biased approach to their complaint because he is a police officer. So they wouldn't, he has that upper hand in a way, and they're kind of almost held hostage, from him because they can't really do anything. They're kind of stuck in a weird way. It's also a thing to do with Patrick Wilson's character. He's kind of too prideful to resell the house and take essentially a handout from Kerry Washington's Ron Glass, who plays her father in this. And I think that's a big part of it too. I think the whole thing with dealing with in-laws as well. It's a small little thing that kind of plays a part in this as well. But essentially, I like the theme of you need help, go to the police, but you can't because the police are the ones who are tormenting you for these amount of months or years, however long it's supposed to take place through.
What's interesting too about that you bring up that point is that the couple, he makes it seem like he's on good terms with his, how do you say, like his police buddies, but really everybody thinks that he's an asshole as far as Abel goes. But he's just really good at putting on this, kind of facade, this, and getting this couple to believe that they are powerless. When really, if they had reached out and really, made some real complaints on Abel, I think they could have done something way before the kind of climax of the film. But Abel is such a smooth talker and very intimidating, the kind of like that bully mentality, because it's crazy. Abel starts off with his kids. You see it. He's just like a stern father, right? Who is, probably a Republican, not very fun. He's got a kind of big chip on his shoulder, but not necessarily like a bad guy. And then when he realizes that this like younger interracial couple has moved next door, he starts getting more aggressive towards them, more aggressive towards his kids. His wife has already passed away for some odd years, and you can see it when he goes into work. He's a cop. He's just unhinged even on duty. With other people. It's not just the couple. He is kind of a dick around the clock, 24/7. Yeah. Doesn't care who you are. And he's, his bigotry is wild. Running.
It's just like oozing out of him. Once they move in, that's when it kicks into high gear.
Yes.
You can tell. And I would say that the Kerry and Patrick moving in was, I don't want to say it was a catalyst to him, becoming unhinged, but I think that definitely played a part in it. I think it might have been the first step in him kind of going that direction. But you really start to see him become more unhinged when he gets that internal affairs interview, when he gets a complaint on a suspect he arrested about harassment and unnecessary violence towards him or towards the suspect. Just make a complaint, and he definitely it was definitely justified because he acted like a total asshole and was basically trying to get the guy to kill himself in front of him.
And then when he doesn't, he hits him with the butt of the gun in his ribs, which he broke. I guess he broke a few ribs, which is probably why the guy is, filed a formal complaint. But yeah, it's totally way.
I think that was the final straw that broke the camel's back for him, at least, because then it's like, well, I think he knew he was fucked.
Yeah.
So he was kind of like, whatever, like I'm gonna have this party, and with all the guys from the force. And that was a crazy thing too, because that's like when they're holding Patrick Wilson down, to forcibly get a lap dance from
Yeah.
the stripper.
Yeah.
And they're all cheering him on. They're like, yeah, show him your titties. Woo, yeah, shake that ass, girl. And it's like, I'm pretty sure that's, I don't know what that would be, that would fall under, but I know that's not strictly legal to do that to somebody. It's forcibly holding them against their will. And
Yeah, it's like groping or like,
right, like, yeah.
like, yeah, sexual misconduct, something.
Something, and they're all cheering it on. And then
And they're all
he,
police officers. That's the
yeah, they're all
important-
drunk. And then he gets up, Patrick Wilson gets up, and, you know, because he says, he says some type of slight to Patrick Wilson about his wife, saying like, oh, I bet, you know, she doesn't have an ass like that or something. And then he tries to hit him. And then I hear Jay Hernandez, and he's like, oh, you don't want to do that, man. Trust me, you don't want to do that. Not here. I'm like, oh my God, you could not sound like a bigger asshole. Just like the bravado, like the machismo from all of them. It was just like super fucking shitty, you know?
they're just like partying at 3 a.m. And it's just,
Yeah.
you know, like, I feel like all of this stuff was planned by Abel on purpose
Oh yeah, definitely.
because of the, like the pool incident and
Mhm.
and then he, you know, conveniently sends his kids to stay with their aunt, I think, or something.
Yeah.
So that way he doesn't have to worry about his kids anymore. And then, you know, once his kids leave, they were kind of keeping him in check in a certain sense. And once his kids are out of the picture, that's when he starts he goes all fucking Leatherface on the fence, you know, with the chain, was not a chainsaw, table saw or something. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, Jesus Christ, you could have cut the guy's arm off, or hand or finger or something.
yeah. When they're doing that, and I guess in the real case, which I read to you in my write up, there was a big thing about the fence. The cop wanted to rebuild the fence, and then the family was like, no, like, we don't want to do it like that. And then he the cop sued them, and then the family's insurance ended up having to pay him. But there were certain things that were kind of switched around that actually did happen, like the whole smoking, you know, the smoking thing where Abel like starts like kind of taunting Patrick Wilson's character with like the cigarette butts and stuff in the film.
Yeah.
So in the real life story, Abel is the smoker and was like throwing them over to like fuck with the family or whatever onto their property. So they kind of switch little things that, you know.
One thing I thought that was interesting was when, you know, Patrick Wilson, he before he comes home every day, he always pulls over down the street or, you know, at the end of the block, has like a cigarette or something, and then is listening to music. And I forget what he's playing, what music. But Abel, you know, sneaks up on him, plays a joke or pranks him, and acts like he's robbing him. And then he's like, oh, you know, no matter how many times or how loud you listen to that music, when you wake up in the morning, you're still going to be white. And it's like, I'm like, how fucked up is that to say somebody? He's not, you know, he's not listening to it to be black. You know, that's not, I am 100% sure that's not the reason he's listening to that music. Everyone has their own taste, and you know what I mean? It's like, he's just so, Abel's character is so like, you know, racist or whatever you want to say. I think it's just the fact he's so upset that Kerry Washington is with him.
Yeah, it's just Abel has like this real weird kind of, how do you say, like ignorance,
Right.
And he makes it seem like he doesn't like hip hop either, because the way he was like, you can listen to that noise all you want, but when you wake up in the morning, you're still going to be white. But then when they have the house party, you can hear Wu-Tang coming from Abel's house. So it's like, it's kind of strange. Like, is he just fucking with, you know, he's just fucking with Patrick Wilson's character. And while we're on this subject, let's talk about the kind of big twist towards the end of the film. Abel, Sam Jackson's character, kind of meets up with Patrick Wilson at the bar and tries to half-ass kind of apologize
Right.
And he reveals that his wife was killed in like a highway accident, I believe it was, with her boss, who happened to be white. And he kind of says like they shouldn't have been together driving down wherever they were. They should have been at work, and something was going on. And to me, that kind of is the motivation of why Abel, or Sam Jackson's character, has, you know, become bitter over the years and just cannot be accepting of this based on his kind of personal beliefs, what happened to him, you know, with his wife, even though there's no real concrete evidence there. It's more like hearsay and him kind of assuming that she was
insinuating that there might have been something going on,
that she could have been being unfaithful, but he doesn't know for sure. So it just shows you, unfortunately, how universal racism can be, because certain people, I feel like they've coined this term reverse racism, but it's like there's no need to say some terminology like this, because it's all it's all rooted in the same. It's just racism. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
And you know, I feel like it comes in a lot of different shapes, sizes. You know?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's one of the main things in the story. It's almost, you know, like you said, that aspect of it is kind of flipped. Where you don't see it too much.
No, definitely not.
That way. So, and on top of, you know, the whole him being their neighbor, everybody has shitty neighbors. Sometimes, depending on, you know, if you're lucky, you don't. If you do, that kind of, you know, everyone has dealt with someone or something in some way with neighbors. I have them where I live. You know, there's certain things that people don't like other people doing, and they kind of, you know, you have to deal with it. You know, be an adult and work around things, or, you know, whatever, you know, try to please everybody or turn the situation good if you can. But it definitely doesn't help in this case when the neighbor that you aren't getting along with is a police officer, especially LAPD. And in that case, which was notoriously known for being extremely violent, historically, at least.
Let me just take this opportunity to say how funny it was in the bar. Again, going back to the bar when Patrick Wilson tells Abel, or Sam Jackson's character, he's like, "Whatever, dude," and then Sam Jackson goes, "You white boys always say that, whatever."
Whatever, dude. Whatever.
He's like, you just think you could take anything that you want or whatever. And that right there is his core problem. And I know, of course, everybody thinks that they're, including Abel, are going to think they're right in a war. But what makes somebody think, especially with people, neighbors that they barely know, why you should be some kind of authoritarian on whether someone is someone's soulmate or not? Like, that is that is so not your shot to call whatsoever. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's insane to me that somebody could think that, you know, that they should have that kind of right.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That whole thing brings on you can tell the bickering between Abel and Chris, or Patrick Wilson's character. It definitely puts a strain on their marriage, him and Kerry Washington. You later on in the film, you find out she's pregnant, and his reaction is kind of like, really, right now, like, while we're dealing with this, like, you want to be pregnant now? And then, like, he does it in a super shitty way. She even says, like, you can't even pretend to be, like, happy or excited. Like, right now, you that's your question, is like, did you like did I plan this? And then, because I think that was his first reaction, like, oh, like, I thought we were gonna wait. Did you plan this? Like, was this the whole plan the whole time? Like, we get a new place and then you get pregnant? And it was such a shitty way to react to that kind of news, which should be, a joyful, a wonderful experience for a couple.
Yeah, and I think that that's kind of showing like the growth that his character needs, that he's kind of transitioning into this new role, and it's really not helping having this unnecessary stress of this neighbor, and you have all these other underlining things. And I'm not, of course, not making excuses, but just saying like how probably where his mindset was is he's very paranoid. You have all of these things happening essentially at the same time. So when she drops that news, and you have your father-in-law that's not really a big fan of you, and is conveniently asks like, are you going to be having kids with my daughter, not really sounding like very welcoming with it, and then your wife suddenly is like, yo, I'm pregnant. It's just a lot of things, a lot of information to take in all at once, and I think he kind of erupted in a shitty way.
The scene where he I thought it was actually funny, where he catches his daughter swimming at their house, or after kind of she's done swimming, and she's kind of trying to get Kerry Washington's character to like dance to this music.
Yeah, like what was wrong with that?
Yeah, and he's like, what the hell are you doing over here? Did I say you could? And then she tries to explain, like, I tried to tell her, that she needs to hear from me. And then he cuts her off, and he's like, oh, like, you can tell me how to raise my kids now? And then he, I thought it was just funny when he starts to get undressed. He's like, oh, let's go crazy. Then let's get wild. And he starts taking his clothes off and dancing in his boxers. I was like, oh my God, this guy is fucking on a 10. Oh, and the whole floodlight situation. In that situation, I would have done the exact same thing. I'm super petty that way. in the way Patrick Wilson was like, well, I'm going to get a floodlight and flash it in your fucking window. Then. Like, we're going to do that. And like, that's how, I hate to admit it, but I'm like, oh, that's something once he did that, I forgot that he did that in the first place, because it's been a little bit since I've seen it. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I would have done the exact same thing, but like more. Like his house would have been lit up. Like I would have made sure that his kids couldn't sleep. And I know that sounds fucking horrible, but I would have been like, oh, you're gonna make it miserable for me. I'm gonna make it miserable for everybody in that entire house. Turn your lights off.
What did you think about the ending?
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up right now. The conclusion of this whole thing. I forgot how it, like I said, it's been maybe a little bit since I've seen this, but I forgot how it ended exactly. And I thought for some reason, I thought he was going to end up, Patrick Wilson was going to end up shooting him. I loved how in this, he kind of egged him on almost, kind of, pushed his buttons into a way where he got him to pull out a gun and shoot him. I mean, essentially, he brought up his wife, and he's like, "Oh, like, is that why your wife was having an affair? Like, you missed that, didn't you? That got by you." So, like, just the way he said it was like a hardcore dig at him, and he's like, "What the fuck did you say?" And then he just pulls the gun, because I really didn't think that he was going to pull a gun out. I totally forgot that part happened.
Well, because he's lying. He does have a gun in his pants, in his waistband, and he's telling the cops, like, "No, I don't have a gun. My friend over here, he's very agitated. He's not thinking straight. Everything's gonna be fine." But Abel does have a gun, and so, Patrick Wilson's character kind of, like you said, eggs Abel on and gets him to snap, where he's. He fucks up and pulls out a weapon and, in effect, shoots Patrick Wilson's character. And then in turn, of course, the cops shoot him.
Yeah.
But
a little different from the actual story.
Yeah, because of course,
Hollywood.
They had to do you feel like, in your opinion, do you think him dying was heavy-handed or justified? I mean, he was a murderer. He did kind of, how do you say, construct that whole burglary.
Yeah, that's one thing we skipped over. That was that didn't go well for the guy, the drug dealer or whatever it was that he recruited to do the break-in.
Yes.
I think it was justified. I don't feel like he was too heavy-handed. I feel like eventually it would have gotten to that point anyways. It was already, if Patrick Wilson hadn't found that phone, or if State Able had found that phone, and it didn't get to that point where now he knew, like, oh, now I have to take him out because he knows I hired that guy to break into their house and whatever. But I think it would have come to that point eventually.
Or he would have probably would have burned down their fucking house while they were gone. Or the
that's what I was
wildfires
gonna say.
or something.
Yeah. He could have done that too. It could have been, it was the fires. Your house caught on fire. I couldn't do anything about it. You should have been here watering your house like I was. That could have been that could have been something. That a plausible thing that could have went on, because the fires are right there on the hillside, basically.
Yeah.
I think that could have been, that was a reasonable thing too. But yeah, like I said, I think it would have gotten to that point one way or another. This way, with Patrick Wilson finding the phone, just escalated that or kind of sped up that process to a point where Abel had to do it. What about you? Same question to you. Do you feel like that was kind of a heavy-handed ending, or?
I just thought it was crazy that they kind of they shoot him so much for being law enforcement.
Right. And for that too, him saying it doesn't mean he's law enforcement. To them, they're coming to a place they're sheriffs, so they don't really know him. Well, I mean, that one guy did know that he was a police LAPD.
One of them, one of them
he was kind of buddies with, right?
He goes, "I don't care if you're the goddamn Pope, asshole."
Yeah, yeah. That was such a good line. But yeah, that's. I know one of them did know that because it was the same cop that came to the house when they called for the break-in the garage.
Mm-hmm.
And he knew that he's like, oh, you guys are lucky you got a cop living next to you. Yeah, I think I don't think they had a choice at that point. He had already pulled the gun out and shot Patrick Wilson.
In the, was it like kind of like the shoulder blade area, right?
Yeah, I shot him right above his, I'd say probably, around his collarbone, maybe like right under his collarbone.
He's lucky, man. What would have happened if he would have headshotted his ass? You know what I'm saying?
Right, right. I like this one. I don't think it deserves the 41 or whatever, the 40s, whatever it was, for Rotten Tomatoes. It's an entertaining film. If you're just gonna put it on.
I think it's pretty good, especially for being PG-13. It's got some very kind of divisive themes in it. But they work, and I feel like they are meant to open up discussions, with people with what is really going on, or what is the kind of true motives behind the movie. Because I know there's certain people who think that them making Sam Jackson's character the way he was, that the director is accusing him of being racist and all this stuff, but I don't feel that when I watch this movie, and I don't think that Sam Jackson, being one of the most iconic black actors, on the planet, would take a role like this and diminish himself if he really thought there was something mean-spirited behind it, you know what I mean? Besides a good story. Just like with the, Django Unchained, he's in that. Like, there's got to be a good reason that he picked these roles. Because they're good, they're different. That's the thing, is people they're crying that, oh, Hollywood isn't original. They just recycle stuff and they just bring back stuff. And it's like, yeah, because when they shove like original IPs in your face, you don't give a fuck, or you find something wrong with it.
Right. Right. No, that's true. That's a really good point. When something original comes along, it's kind of like, well, I don't want to fucking see this. Like, who are you making this movie for? It kind of puts directors and production companies in a corner where they kind of have to every once in a while they can put out those original stories and then stick to the blueprint of what's been successful, which is at this moment reboots and sequels that nobody asked for.
Legacy sequels.
Yeah.
This one's pretty good for what it is. Great cast.
Thank you. I'm glad you did. This wasn't you've seen this before, right?
Yeah. I watched it when it came out, and I've seen it. I'll watch it every couple years just because I think that Sam Jackson's performance, it's so, like, he's never done anything like this since this movie, right?
Yeah, I don't think so.
I mean, he'll play morally ambiguous characters like, in Jackie Brown or fucking, or even, Pulp Fiction. But nothing, I feel like this is like another level of assholiness for even him.
He does it so good, so believable. Like,
and very grounded.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the cast is primarily those three: Kerry Washington, Patrick Wilson, and Samuel Jackson.
Yep.
So, they have to lead this. You have to have good actors, and they do. They do a great job in this. All of them, everyone around. Everything is believable. Nothing seems forced, or really good chemistry between the two. For the married couple, you can they do that well.
They do that well, and I feel like you can feel the tension when Abel starts really getting in between them, which is, I think, again, what he wanted is one of them to snap and kind of leave the other one, eventually. Just to kind of tear that marriage apart. And it's just a really good kind of strong family drama at the same time.
For me, I'd probably give this one out of 5. I'd say... I'd have to give it 3 as well.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, nice. So I think I'm on the same page as you. Definitely enjoyed it, like you said. I think this is a movie that you can watch every couple of years. I mean, if you're not a huge fan of it, I mean, you could even watch it alone, like you said, just for the performance of Samuel Jackson, because it is great. It's one of his better ones. I would say in a role that we don't really see him in, like you said.
Bonus one fact for you. Probably the most important one outside of my write-up. Lakeview Terrace. Lakeview Terrace is where Rodney King was arrested and beaten, where that infamous tape was filmed.
Oh, okay.
Which
nice.
is,
Okay. That's cool how they do that. And they kind of put that in there.
Yeah, how they named the movie that. And, of course, race is a major thing, device in the
police officer, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Pretty wild,
nice.
Right?
Oh man, that's cool.
Mind blowing.
That's a cool thing. Yeah, that's awesome. I would never known that. That's awesome.
Next week, Chris Pollock comes back, and we're talking about Anton Fuqua's Brooklyn's Finest from 2010, I believe. Another very, very good movie. Wesley Snipes, Richard Gere, Ethan Hawke, Don Cheadle, and the list goes on. Crazy ensemble cast. If you haven't seen it, James, you should check it out. I think it's on Cinemax right now if you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I've seen this one.
Another underrated gem out there. So, everybody out there, you have the end of February to look forward to. Brooklyn's Finest. I'm announcing it now with Chris Pollock returning. Going to be a very fun episode. This was a very fun episode as well.
Yes.
Thank you, James, as always, for making time.
Yeah, no problem.
For us. Why don't you tell these lovely people out there where they can find us?
So if you're just stumbling upon this podcast, we are Drop the Mic. We are available on pretty much every single platform that's out there, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. We're on tons of other ones. If you can listen to a podcast on it, we're probably on there. So if you're feeling generous enough, give us a 5 stars, a thumbs up, a positive review if you have time, and subscribe, download, If you have some family members or friends that you think would enjoy this, share this episode with them, or have them go to our back catalog of tons of other episodes that we have. Check those out. There's a huge catalog that goes back, spans about 4 years, 5 years almost. But check that out. Yeah, we have a lot of bangers on there. Check that out. Like I said, share us, like our stuff. Follow us on our Instagram. It is at @dropthemic_podcast. And our Twitter is @dropthemic pod.
Yes, my man.
Yeah, I got it. @dropthemic_pod. Follow us there. Tweet us, retweet us. If you have any suggestions, you can tweet us on there. You can write us on Instagram. If you want to be so public, you can always send us a private message. And more than likely, one of us will respond back to you. Let us know how we did on this episode or previous episodes. If you liked what we said, if you didn't, if you agreed. It's always good just to have a conversation about that. And let us know if there's movies or something that we haven't done before. We're always open for suggestions. Yeah, and I think that's about it.
Awesome. Well said, as usual.
Thank you.
All right. Everybody out there, again, check out Lakeview Terrace from 2008. God, I feel old. I remember this coming out.
Yeah.
I'm like, really? It's been that long?
Oh, yeah. It's been a while since it's been just the two of us.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. It was cool.
And speaking of that, miss you, Ryan. Was hoping to have you on here, but you're too busy getting Brazilian wax, like you said.
Actually, and going to Disneyland, apparently, is what he said to me.
Fancy guy. All right.
Yeah, Disneyland's more important when you go there every day. Okay, Ryan. We see you.
Yeah.
Mr. Pass Holder. All right.
Oh, man. Lucky bastard.
But yeah, in all seriousness, we miss you, Ryan.
Yes.
And we can't wait for you to come back. So after Chris Pollock's episode, we're going to be in March, right?
Yes.
Because February is a short month, we're going to be in March. And that means we're going to be talking about the original Scream, going back to where it all started, episode 1.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Man, that would be a nice one.
On those last words, we'll say good fight and good night.
Yeah. Have a good one.
It's a brave new world. How's that? I got nothing against you or her. LAPD, I work with all kinds. I lay my life down for those guys. All kinds. But that's where I work. This is where I live. I'm trying to raise these kids by myself. Teach them to respect themselves and the people they come from. So I don't need you or your lady putting the bedroom scenes out here for them to see. I don't think they're ever going to forget that little synchronized swimming exhibition. Me either. Look, I'm sorry. Maybe there's places where that's okay. And maybe that's where you are.